Hello everyone, my name is Mark, my peoples, where you at? This is Why I Hate the World. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. First thing we're going to talk about is The Boys. So what's going on with The Boys? Well, it's currently getting review bombed on Rotten Tomatoes because the red hat wearing MAGA types apparently didn't know that the Homelander character was supposed to be making fun of them. I guess they just never got that before. And now they did, and it's pissing people off. It's pissing people off that the main villain in the series, who is a clear parody of conservatives and conservative values, is a bad guy. And that he's been a bad guy since the first episode. And I guess just now, 4 seasons in, they're finally discovering that, oh, they're making fun of us. So, as some of you guys may know, I am a pretty big comic fan. So I've got probably a good, maybe not that many, maybe 4,000 comics, probably more actually, now that I think about it. I got a shitload of comics hanging out in my closet there. But The Boys really hasn't been one of them. I got a couple of issues of it, and it's just something I haven't really gotten into yet. I'm more familiar with the TV show than the comic book. But I've only seen about the first season of the show, and mainly because my wife doesn't want to watch it with me because it's like gross, right? There's a lot of blood and gore in it, but I've seen like the first season and a couple of episodes of the second season, so it's on the list of things to catch up on. Apparently, this 4th season, though, they're leaning really hard into the allegory, the political allegory here. And I guess Homelander is positioning himself to become president or something like that. And a lot of the Red Hat MAGA crowd people are pissed because it's a clear parody of Donald Trump. I guess that's what's going on. And for those of you who don't know the show, if you've never actually seen it or whatever, Homelander is a Urstaz of Superman. I mean, he wears a red, white, and blue flag as his outfit. And he's a complete raging psychopath. And he has been a complete raging psychopath since the first episode of this series. It's not like this is a new thing. If you've watched the series from the beginning, he's a insane, crazy sociopath that just doesn't care about other people at all. And I can't believe that these idiots have the whole time if they've been watching it since the first season, that they never fucking figured it out that he's the bad guy. He's not depicted as a hero at all in the slightest in the series, right? In the first season, in the 3rd or 4th episode, something like that, he refuses to save a plane of innocent passengers that are like gonna crash, and it's because of something that he did. Like, he fucked up and this plane is gonna crash, and he just basically abandons them all. And the Wonder Woman Urstaz, I think her name is Princess something or Queen something, I can't remember her name. She's like, well, we can save some of them, and he's like, no, they're all gonna die. We can't help them. And he essentially strong arms like the Wonder Woman character into not helping. And then this plane crashes and everybody dies, but like somebody survives. It's pretty crazy, right? Like, the guy is a fucking crazy person. In the second season, there's this part where he goes to Africa to fight this guy that has like wind powers, and he just lands and then eye lasers the guy, just kills him, and then takes off, and he accidentally shoots a guy that was standing behind him, like an innocent bystander gets killed. He just doesn't give a shit about the person that he accidentally killed. Like, the only thing he cares about is his ratings. And he's like yelling at his assistant and stuff, why didn't you tell me this? Complete scumbag. Okay? And the thing is, in the comic, he's not any different. So if you're a comic reader, you would still know. Like, there's a scene in the show where another hero, her name is Starlight, right? And she's like a new aspiring hero, and she's all happy to be working with these guys. They're in a group called the Seven, and they're essentially the Justice League is what they're making fun of. And she's so happy that she's going to be working with them. Oh, it's a dream come true and all that stuff. And there's a character called the Deep who's sort of like the Aquaman or Staz. And in the show, he blackmails her into giving him oral sex. And that happens in like the first episode. So it's like, and that's when you realize, oh, okay, these guys are scumbags, right? Well, in the comic book, it's Homelander who does that. It's not the Deep. Homelander is the one that blackmails Starlight into having sex with him. And two other characters, one's A-Train and then the other one is Black Noir, they join in. So in the comic, it's even more like disturbing. The sex and the gore and the violence and the fact that these people are scumbags and all that stuff, they really push it hard. There's an entire sub-series called Herogasm where like the idea is that in comics, every year you have a huge crossover. You know, you have something like Secret Wars or Crisis on Infinite Earths or something like that. And they're sort of making fun of that where they go, oh, well, aliens are invading, so all the heroes have to leave. And in real life, they just go off to this resort and have a giant orgy. I think they actually adapted that to the show, but I haven't got that far. I haven't actually seen that episode yet, but that's a thing that happens in the comics. It really pushes it hard, like the fact that these people are corrupt. And Homelander more than anyone. The dude is just a straight up fucking murderer. So I don't understand how anybody could not have figured that out, that he was not only a scumbag, but that he was a parody of the all-American MAGA person. I guess what it is that season 4 kind of rubs it in your face, right? Like, I haven't actually seen it, but I read a couple of articles, and apparently there's a character that runs an Alex Jones kind of podcast, like she's a conspiracy theorist or something like that, and a couple of people got angry at that, saying it was like, oh, this is bringing politics too much into it, blah, 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 something like that. And then there's another part where Homelander has a son, and then a guy does something to make his son angry, and then like Homelander just kills him in front of an entire crowd of people, and they all just sort of cheer him on. Nobody gets angry at him, and the allegory is pretty in your face. It's sort of like when Donald Trump says, oh, I can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and they'll still vote for me. That's what they're doing. So they're using Homelander as a Trumperstaz. Like, they're making fun of Trump, and like the MAGA people don't like that because it's making fun of dear leader, right? Now, in case you thought that Homelander wasn't supposed to be a Trump allegory, I got something here for you. This here is a post from the studio that creates The Boys. Today, Vought is proud to announce the Homelander High Tops. Based on our greatest heroes boots, these shoes will make you feel like you can fly. Available at super deal of $777. With all proceeds going to his legal defense fund. Get yours before this sham of a trial on June 13th. This came out like 4 months ago. So if you didn't think that they were basically using the whole Trump trials and like using Homelander as a way to poke fun at Trump, they've been doing it for a long time. So I don't see how anybody is just waking up to that shit now, right? Kind of fucking ridiculous. But I got a couple of things I want to show you guys, because why am I even talking about this, right? This is the Rotten Tomatoes for season 4 of The Boys. And as you can see, the fresh rating for the critics is 95%, but the audience score is 52%, because the MAGA people are angry. I want to show you guys a couple of responses that I picked out. These are some of the comments from the Rotten Tomatoes here that I wanted to show to you guys. Someone named Okar K. It's unwatchable now. I can't believe they bow down to messaging instead of the storyline. They've already got a 10-10 unique formula, and now everything's ruined. Let's move on. This series has always been politically left, but at least it was entertaining. Season 4 has been nothing more than an even deeper radical left lecture to the viewers on the dangers of the alt-right and conspiracy theorists. Sure, there will always be undertones, but this season has been well overdone. I would like to speak a little bit to this. What exactly does this guy mean, dangers of the alt-right? Because if you look at what he just said, he wrote dangers in quotes. Like, what, the alt-right are not dangerous? Yes, they are. Okay, the alt-right is extremely dangerous. Back in 2014, 2015, when the alt-right kind of gained prominence in the United States, that's what it was. There was this sort of danger that, oh, there's going to be white supremacist terrorist attacks and violence. And I was reading lots of articles and things about how there might be another Timothy McVeigh kind of Oklahoma City bombing type event. That didn't happen. The worst that happened that came out of the alt-right was Charlottesville, which, yeah, there was a body count there, but basically it was just a bunch of tiki torch wielding morons running around screaming and shit like that. Yeah, the alt-right is essentially evolved into MAGA. That's the thing, is that it's not so much like a potential for terrorism from the alt-right that you have to worry about. It's more insane lone actors that go on shooting rampages that you have to worry about from the alt-right. Crazy people that go and blow people away in grocery stores and at country music festivals and stuff like that because they're not white or they're immigrants or whatever, that kind of thing. That's what the main thing you have to really worry about. And then what you also really have to worry about is these assholes gaining political power, which, spoiler alert, folks, they had for 4 years under Donald Trump. So to say that they're not dangerous, like, no, the alt-right is extremely fucking dangerous. And, there always is that potential for larger terrorism. Don't get me wrong. Just because we haven't seen them do anything like engaging in a bombing campaign, for example, doesn't mean that they won't ever fucking do it if we're not eternally vigilant. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance, okay? We can't, by the Constitution, outlaw these people. We can't outlaw their speech. That's not something that's allowed by the Constitution, whether you like it or not. And I know a lot of my people on the left get angry at that kind of thing, and they like to blame liberals and stuff because we're unwilling to take that step and throw people in jail for shit that they say. The trade-off is that you have to be vigilant. This is a country where you're allowed to believe and say whatever the hell you want to believe, even if it's hate speech. You are allowed to say that. So how do you counter that? Is that you have to stand against it constantly. The fight never ends. Put it that way. Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent. Let's get back to making fun of chuds on the internet. Someone named Certified Casual. Another good show to be thrown into obscurity due to the writer's poor judgment and personal bias. Truly depressing. Darren M. After a stellar first 2 seasons, the boys began to slide into partisan towards the end of season 3. It's not so subtle suggestion that the charismatic bad guy Homelander is a representation of the former president of the United States was always going raise some eyebrows. I think he forgot a word there. I'm just surprised that Homelander's haircut wasn't altered to make him look more like Orange Man Bad. I don't remember these comparisons in the comic book. I used to tune into the show for a chuckle to escape what is constantly in front of us on the idiot box, radio, newspapers, or social media. Now I cannot even do that. Well, it's because the comic and the show are two different things. Although the show mostly follows the comic, there are changes, of course, like there are in any adaptation. And the thing is that at the time when the comic came out, Homelander was not a Trump Erstaz, but he was a symbol of fascism. That's what Homelander was, ever since the fucking beginning. The comic is even worse than the show, from what I've seen. I've only seen the first season of the show, so I can't really talk too much to that. Maybe it gets way more gnarly in the other seasons. But overall, the comic is much more gory, much more bloody, and the message is much more in your face than it is in the TV show. The show is actually better written, in my opinion, than the comic, but I think they both stand on their own. I would just like to point out here, Orange Man Bad. You can kind of tell when anybody ever says that this is, okay, this guy's a fucking red hat dude. This guy's a MAGA guy. This is a Trumper. No one out there who isn't a Trump supporter ever says Orange Man Bad. Okay? Because, I mean, the thing is, the Orange Man is objectively fucking bad. But anybody with a brain can see Donald Trump is the worst president ever and should not be within 10 feet of the fucking White House. But I really like this one thing here, right? This little last line. I used to tune into this show for a chuckle to escape what is constantly in front of us on the idiot box, radio, newspapers, and social media, and now I cannot even do that. Well, maybe you shouldn't be escaping from reality. I watch TV not to escape. I watch TV to entertain myself. If your life is so bad that you need to actually escape from it, then maybe you shouldn't be watching TV. When I watch TV and I watch sci-fi and I watch anime and I watch stuff like that, not as an escapism, not something that I need in order to deal with the horrid realities of my existence. I watch it because it's fun. It's fun and it's funny, and I like to see shit blow up, and I like to see jokes, and I like to be entertained. Those are two different things. If your life is truly so fucking terrible that you need to escape from it, it's like, yeah, dude, turn off the fucking TV. Maybe read a couple of books, kind of put a plan together. Put a plan together to make your life better. Moving on. Okay, the partisan nature of this season stinks of government involvement. The show has become so left-leaning it's now insufferable. This one jumped out to me because of the words government involvement here. See, because everything to these people has to be a fucking conspiracy. It could never just be, oh, hey, the writers of this season see what's going on in the world and are drawing from real life in order to make their show more relatable and to make it more meaningful. No, it can't be that. It has to be some kind of conspiracy. You know what this is really saying? Government involvement? He means the Jews. That's what he fucking means. Okay, that's what this means whenever they say, oh, the government is controlling shit. It's shorthand for the Jews. All right? Keep that shit in mind. Enough with the plastic people pushing politically driven idiocracy without an enjoyable plot. Try saying that 5 times fast, huh? Politically driven writers ruined what was a great show. See, that's the thing, right? The show was always fucking political. Like, it's not like it wasn't political in the first season or whatever. It definitely fucking is. It has a very, very anti-corruption, anti-corporate, and cynical outlook on the world. In general, also like a very, very anti-fascist message. If anything, that's what it's really about. Superheroes are symbols, right? That people typically associate with goodness and all that stuff, and it's cloaking it in the trappings of an oppressive, essentially, government. Like, you could easily take the Seven and the corporation they work for and swap it for an evil king or an oppressive government, and the story would be the same. That's what The Boys is all about. It's about guys fighting back, the little guys, the oppressed people fighting back against their oppressor. And it just happens to be, in this case, it's guys trying to fight back against supervillains. But you could swap the villains out and you could put in stormtroopers. You could put in a evil king with his black knights. You could put in oppressive authoritarian government and their secret police. It would be the exact same fucking story. So, dumb. Moving on. One last one. 2 stars purely for the performance of Homelander, who really is carrying this show, but it's hard to like a show that portrays all moderates and conservatives so shamelessly as QAnon lunatics. The writing has also gotten really lazy. Nothing is set up. Things just sort of happen now, and then they flash back in order to fake a setup happen twice in quick succession in episode 4. Maybe the writing is shitty, I don't know. I haven't seen season 4 just yet myself. But here's the thing. Conservatives essentially are QAnon lunatics. Now, hear me out, okay? Obviously, not every single person who votes Republican is a QAnon lunatic. That's not true, okay? And I think that's a trap that you fall into. There's an actual logical fallacy called onanism, and it's where you think that everyone who opposes you is the same. That's where you think, like, oh, if they disagree with me here on this item, then also they must disagree with me on all these other items. And it's very easy to fall into that. It's very easy to assume, like, oh, well, these people are QAnon crazies. Everybody who votes for Trump is a QAnon crazy. No, that's not true. However, to say that there isn't a large contingent of the mainstream Republican Party who are at least influenced by wacky conspiracy theories, to say that's not true, it's just simply, no, that's simply how it is. The conservatives and the Republican Party are overrun with conspiracy theories nowadays. Everything they fucking believe, every policy that they back is based on a fucking conspiracy theory. All of it is. Even like the mainstream moderates, even the moderates conservatives. The shit they believe is simply not true. It's all hearsay and conspiracy theories. You don't think so? Cutting taxes creates jobs. That's bullshit. That's not true. Not really. No. Does cutting taxes create jobs? No, it doesn't. You know what it does? It creates rich executives because they take all of their tax cuts and they do stock buybacks with it. But every single moderate conservative believes this, right? Black people cause all the crime. That's another one that they all fucking believe. Oh, they don't say, oh, I don't really believe that. Well, the way you vote says you fucking believe it. Illegal immigrants cause crime. No, they don't. You can look at the areas where these people settle, and you can count how many of them get in trouble with the law, and it is less than the native people who live in that area. Because you don't come to another country to commit crime. You know, if you wanted to rape and murder and steal from people, you could just do that in the country that you lived in before. Why come to the United States and do that shit when you can just be a criminal in Mexico or a criminal in Guatemala or whatever? It's like, no. You know, migrant people like refugees and like even undocumented immigrants, people who jump the fence and whatever and come to the United States, those people tend to have a much lower crime rate overall than just normal citizens who are just born here. Here's another one. Democrat-run cities are overrun with crime. That's complete 100% bullshit. In real life, the states with the highest fucking crime rate are all in the fucking South. It's like there's more crime per capita in like Kentucky and Tennessee than there is in New York. It's bullshit. Big cities have more people. There's going to be more crime there. But if you look at a per capita, then you see that it's like, oh, well, there's actually more crime per capita in the Deep South, where everybody's a fucking Republican. Getting back to my original point, the point is that even moderate Republicans believe in shit that is just essentially just conspiracy theories, hearsay, conspiracy theories, and fucking just pure made up fucking bullshit. So to sit there and say that, oh, this TV show is blah, 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 get the fuck out of here. All the shit that you fucking believe is like fake and phony and doesn't have any basis in fucking reality to fucking begin with. You know, I actually did though. I looked around trying to find people who posted memes and stuff like in support of Homelander, and I couldn't actually find any. I couldn't find any people who genuinely thought he was a hero. So I'm thinking this might be a little bullshit. I'm thinking this is just Trump people who are like pissed off because they're daring to make fun of the Cheeto-dusted baboon that passes for their cult leader. And that makes perfect fucking sense because those people can't stand anything. It all comes down to the fact that fascists, number one, have very poor senses of humor. They really can't laugh at anything unless they're laughing at someone that they're oppressing, number one. And number two, fascists have no capacity for satire at all. They just cannot make fun of themselves because in order to understand satire, you have to be able to engage in introspection. And fascists can't do that overall. Conservatives have a problem with that in general. They have a problem with examining themselves. They're always apt to blame somebody else for their problems. That's one of the things that kind of makes you a fascist, like the fact that you're incapable of poking fun at yourself. You're incapable of looking at yourself and seeing where your flaws are and laughing at yourself. Because in order to be a fascist, you have to pretend that you're like absolutely fucking perfect. You have to pretend that you can do no wrong and that everything that is wrong in the world is because of somebody else. In order to laugh at yourself, you have to admit that, hey, not everything I do or say or think is correct. Sometimes the things I do are pretty silly. Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about, stuff like that. Fascists can't do that. It undermines their entire message. Their entire message is all about how you need me. I'm the only one that can fix anything. Everything is fucked up and it's because of these other people, and I'm the only one that can fix it. That's what Donald Trump says. I'm the only one who can fix it. How many times has he said that shit? Case in point, 2016 White House Correspondents' Dinner. Every year, the president or whatever, they go to this dinner. There's a special guest and he roasts the president. And this is a tradition. It's been going on for years. There's a really good one back in, I think, 2007 or 2006 with Stephen Colbert went there and roasted George W. Bush. It's fucking hilarious, right? Even George W. Bush was able to take a gentle ribbing to himself. Even George W. Bush attended that dinner and was like, ha ha ha, and laughed at himself and had a good time. Donald Trump canceled those things. He couldn't handle it. He never went to one the whole time that he was president. And then when they did it in 2016, it was him and Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton was perfectly fine cracking jokes about herself, laughing about herself and all that, and seeing the silliness in everything that was going on. And Donald Trump couldn't fucking do it. He sat there over and over and over again and refused to make fun of himself. And people were booing him, and it was pathetic. It was pathetic, and it's because Donald Trump is a narcissistic asshole fascist. And that's what's going on with these people. You know, they're finally understanding. They're like, oh, this whole time they were making fun of us. Oh no. It's kind of fucking pathetic. So anyway, I think I'm going to start watching The Boys for real now. Catch up on it. I haven't actually watched it in a couple years. Like I said, I've only gotten to the first season. I'm going to have to find some time when my wife is otherwise occupied so I can watch it. Anyway, take it easy, folks.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.